A couple weeks ago, we were trying to connect with this guy, and it was quite a story. Former professional soccer player one day had a weird sensation in his leg, a little numbness, burning sensation, and it turned out it changed his life. We're going to hear this compelling story. Julian, if you want to, click on your video there so we can see you. I've got your audio. Can you hear us, Julian?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you great. We just can't see you. Just unclick the little movie camera.
Hang on a second.
Yeah, it's in the bottom left.
I'm actually driving as
okay. Well,
is that okay?
Yeah, man. Don't worry about it. Yeah, we don't need to see you then. Just keep your.
I mean, at the end of it.
Yeah, don't worry. No, if you're driving, we're good.
Julian, are you there still?
How are you guys doing?
We're great. Listen,
yeah, I'm here.
Hey, just help me with a couple of the details. Is this the end of MS Awareness Month?
It is. Yes, it's the last day of MS Awareness Month. March is obviously, big in the MS society. As much as it's not looked at, it should be every day of the year. I mean, every disease or infection has their sort of month that they try to remember and try to raise as much money to hopefully one day find a cure.
Okay, well, let's back up, and I appreciate the details, but let's back up to how I started by saying you were playing professional soccer in Italy. You're a Canadian, and you'd been the top goal scorer for 5 of the 7 teams you'd played for. So you're having a pretty nice life there in Italy. Give us some context, because I really don't know those leagues, and maybe people listening are unsure. But kind of give us some. Were you playing in not the NHL, but in sort of the tier down from that? Like, what is professional soccer like and life like in Italy for a Canadian?
Okay, so the league is technically like the MLS in the US and in Canada. Mm-hmm. So if you're familiar with the Toronto FC, it was at that level. The level on top of me was basically Serie A, which is the first division in Europe. So when I had first started in Italy, I had signed with AC Milan, who that's a well-known team. They're the richest club in the world. Mm-hmm. And they're in the top tier. So to give you sort of the levels, I mean, it's completely different. The soccer worlds, the second division that I was in, I mean, there's skeptics that say that, the teams in Europe would absolutely demolish teams in the MLS. I mean, it's just, it all depends on what team you're playing for and how well and compact the team is, right? But if you were looking at the level side of it, it's probably, I would say, higher than the MLS.
And so you're making a pretty nice little living over there, as Howard said, a pretty good lifestyle.
Yeah, the lifestyle of an athlete, it doesn't matter, I think, where you go in the world or what sport you play. The lifestyle of an athlete is always much more superior than a 9-to-5 job that I'm doing now. I mean, you're looked at as a god. You're looked at as this being of fame, which in my opinion is totally incorrect, because at the end of the day, you're just an athlete.
Right.
And it's just as much as a doctor working 18 hours a day. If you ask me, what's more important, I would look at as a doctor as much more important than an athlete, because I mean, as much as it's more of a performer, it doesn't really do much to the world.
No, and it's funny.
No, it's an interesting perspective, yeah.
Right, we've talked about that on the show all the time. I mean, kids are doctors that, do brain surgery on kids. The highest paid athletes maybe should give them a couple $100 million or a couple of million a year from their paychecks or something. There should be some system worked out where those people are recognized for what they contribute.
And it's an interesting, Julian, it's an interesting perspective and a refreshing one that you have. You already had some perspective about how special you were being treated. Mm-hmm. And then, like a lot of people, I know human nature is whenever someone tells you their symptoms, you start thinking, have I had those symptoms? So the day that you felt a little burning sensation in your leg or a little numbness, and we were just talking about, Fred and I have both been vaccinated with the AstraZeneca Oxford vaccine, and you're thinking about, are there some side effects that I'm getting? what did that day feel like for you when you felt some kind of little nagging sensation in one of your legs?
So, and it was actually in it started, the tingling and all the burning started in the right arm, which then now is all my complete right leg. So over the years, it's been 10 years now. Over the past 2-3 years, it's actually moved down to my right leg. But the day that it had started, I remember it perfectly. I'd fallen asleep on the couch watching TV, and I woke up the next morning with a complete burning and tingling sensation from the shoulder all the way down to the fingertips. I mean, as an athlete, you don't look at it as, an illness or a disease. You look at it as, okay, I have a pinched nerve. I might have got hit. Who knows? You don't look at it as anything special. So I waited about a week to even notify the doctors on the roster. And, they, even when they saw it, they're like, oh, it might have been a hit. It might have been, something that happened during practice or a game. And as an athlete, you take their advice for what it is. I mean, they're paid to give you the advice, and you're there to listen, right? Listen and work. But as the days got on and, practices went on and games went on, the pain kept getting worse and worse to a point where I wasn't able to even be outside of freezing cold water. So I would sit there in freezing cold water and try to cool my arm down because it just felt like it was on fire. Yeah.
So, and you were only 25, 26 at this time?
I was 24, turning 25.
Wow.
So, Julian, when did it change from, the idea that maybe something happened in practice, maybe it was a physical, sports-related pinched nerve, something like that? When did you... Two questions, actually. When did you start to think, shit, this is something out of the ordinary? And secondly, when did some medical intervention begin to sort of point to a different diagnosis?
So after the week of waiting and, until it got to an unbearable point of the burning sensation is when the medical team said, listen, I think you should go to the hospital and get MRIs done and get CAT scans, get blood work, get, any type of test that can give us more of an idea of what it might be. So I did that. They kept me in the hospital for about 3-4 days doing all the tests until they did get the MRI results back. And that doctor did come in the room and she basically looked me in the eye and said, sorry to say, you have been diagnosed with multiple sclerosis and you're going to be in a wheelchair in 6 months. Your career is over.
And what does that feel like?
It was, at the end of the day, soccer is all you know. It was like the world basically shut off in 1 second at a blink of an eye. And, being alone in Europe, because my family was all here, I was alone. You don't know really how to digest that. Being hard-headed as I was and, I didn't believe it at all. I was like, yeah, okay, sure. So show me proof.
No, I can see that denial taking place. And so how, you're not incapacitated right now, are you?
No.
Obviously, if you're driving, you have some level of functionality, if that's a word.
Exactly. Yeah, my right leg is dead to a point that I have to walk with my cane 24 hours a day. Mm-hmm. So if I'm walking, I have to have my cane or else I'll fall. Right. So, it's sort of a catch-22, too, because you're okay, but you're not okay. Things that you used to do before, you can't even do anywhere close to.
Yeah.
Walking to the mailbox, for instance, it's 8 feet away. And, you used to walk kilometers, and now you can't.
So was this over the past 10 years then, which it has been, I assume? Is it just a steady decline over 10 years, or did it hit you hard and then it's plateaued? Is there any hope? They said 6 months, obviously the time frame was a little longer than that. So what about that aspect?
Over the past 3 years, I would say for the first 6 or 7 years, it was just the right arm. Mm-hmm. Where I was feeling sort of just, if I touched it, I got used to it, so it didn't bother me. But if anyone else touched it, I still felt that funny bone feeling. So it was like you hit your funny bone, you would feel like a tingling. But over the past 3 years, it started off, let's say, when the body temperature increased, the right leg would go numb. And, you would stop and relax for 10, 20 minutes. We go back to normal until about 2 years ago when it's a constant 24 hours a day. I mean, now they've switched medication. I'm on IV every 6 months. Like they've increased the dosage because it is progressing. And I mean, that's the problem with these type of, diseases is that you don't have any cure.
Well, I was going to say, I understand it's degenerative and as you say, progressing, but the issue with MS and a lot of these diseases is that, as you know, they're unpredictable as to how they will affect you. There's no timeline. The original doctor was off by years and years. And I was going to ask you, saying you're getting IV medication, is there anything that makes it better, more livable, mitigates it, stops the progression, any of those things?
No, there's nothing that will make it better because of the fact that it does affect, the spinal cord and the brain and the lesions the spots of the brain or spinal cord that it does hit. If a lesion is created in sense that from MS, any spot of the nervous system that the lesion does hit will affect a part of the body. So I could wake up tomorrow morning and be in a wheelchair. You just have no idea. So, and that's why when I wake up every morning, I literally wiggle my feet. I'll move them just to make sure that it's not today.
Wow.
Because the fear of having that, you can't move your legs is very scary to wake up to, which leads to depression, which leads to a lot of things.
Yeah, I bet.
I can imagine. So tell us, how did the Italian Soccer League, how did the team handle that? Were they good through that, or did they dump you like a ton of rocks like you so often hear when situations like this arise?
They technically, for the 4 days that I was in the hospital, were supportive. And then as soon as they found out about the diagnosis, it was see you later.
Yeah.
Like end of contract, no...
Oh, yeah, next day, end of contract.
No severance, no, like, here's some money.
There was. They have to give a severance, or else I was going to sue their asses. Excuse my language. But
no, you can swear on this show. We're podcasts now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, they didn't handle it as I would have thought they would have, especially because of the amount of years that I did put in and, sweat and money I made them.
Right.
You would think that they would have a little bit more respect and they didn't.
You're telling. I was in the notes here. It says you have a story about falling and people ignoring you.
Oh yeah, that was 3 weeks ago actually.
Seriously?
Oh yeah, it was, and that anger you get inside of you. You're like, now that we could swear on the show, you're like, you're such a piece of shit.
Yeah, man.
Like,
Julian, we never get that.
It's ridiculous. It is so.
That's so not like us.
And you're just like, where's your heart?
No, exactly. So what happened? What happened? Where did it happen?
It was downtown Toronto. I was actually getting a tattoo, to be honest, and I was getting a tattoo done of my daughter. I did a whole portrait of her, and
nice.
I was there for 9 hours, and I was walking from the underground to my car, and I had left my cane in the car because I'm walking like 15 feet. Like, give me a break. I'm not going to bring my cane. So at night, walking from the elevators to where my car was, I knew my leg was already giving out because it was starting to drag. And as soon as it starts to drag, it's like, I'm going to fall. So walking, I mean, that's not to say that, walking, I looked like I was probably drunk, but I wasn't, because you're walking with a limp, you're walking like dragging your foot, you look like a zombie when you're walking. Like, it looks like an apocalypse hit. So I had fallen, and these people, like, actually, there was three. There was a husband, a wife, and a kid. They literally looked at me and rushed to get into the car. Like, they didn't see it happen. And I mean, if I saw someone fall, I would just even yell out, "Hey, are you okay?"
Yeah. Right. I think, but describing that scenario, you can sort of not understand, but I get that they were a little bit scared or shocked or thought that maybe something was wrong. But just in general, people are kind of pricks at times.
I agree.
You mentioned your daughter. We also at the time you had to cancel your wedding. Eventually you were married and you had a daughter. And the thing is with, I'm sitting here, you're the same age as my son, and it's just whipping through my mind. It's like when stuff like this happens, it not only happens to you, it affects an entire family. So I assume you ultimately got married and you've had a family, and you're making the best of it.
Yep. Yeah, it was, I mean, at the end of the day, it was, I think the time that it did happen, and I mean, I was engaged before, like I'd mentioned, I had ended the wedding 3 months before the wedding. She was from the States. It was hard because she wasn't living with me. So the time that I really needed her to be by my side, in a sense that, get on a plane, get your ass here. Mm-hmm. The answer was, I can't, I work. And it was okay, well, fuck, F you.
Fuck you, yeah. And it's turned out that, how old is your kid?
She's a year and a half.
No, very sweet. And
yeah,
you're the VP of Sales and Marketing at Stateview Homes. You've created a life for yourself. And just quickly about multiple sclerosis, because I wanted to sort of finish with this. One of my cousins, my father's sister's sons, got MS later in life. I think he was and one of my brothers would know, but I think he was in his late 30s or 40s and lived with it for a very, very long time. So I can give you that. The second thing about MS that I've always wondered, because I'm from Saskatchewan, Julian.
Yep.
And do you know about the MS Saskatchewan connection?
No, I don't.
Yeah, there's apparently the province of Saskatchewan has some of the highest MS numbers in Canada. And years ago, I was explained to me about something with the soil. I don't even know, but I just knew that particular province has more cases per capita than anywhere else in Canada. But what would you like people to know as an MS advocate as we say goodbye to you today, Julian?
I mean, MS is something that, someone can't predict, or, they can't do testing, and it's not hereditary, and it's not something that anyone can, not only forget, but they can't accept. So if you do know anyone that does have MS and they are struggling, it is a very hard illness to cope with, because it is mental as well. The memory, the fatigue, the depression, everything sort of connects to one, and there's no two same people that have the exact same symptoms. Mm-hmm. So if you do see someone struggling, or you do know someone has MS and you're like, oh yeah, they're fine, they don't look like they're bothered or that they are struggling, just I always say, send them a hello, send them a right. Thinking of you. And I mean, even last night, and I'll make it quick, last night I got a text message from a family member that I haven't talked to in, I would say, 8-9 months, just because of, COVID, of everything. You just mm-hmm. forget. And he texted me and he says, hey, Julian, how are you? Can I tell you something? I'm like, oh, great. What happened? Like, something happened. And I'm like, yeah, of course, buddy, go ahead. And he said to me, I was so proud to tell people that I knew you, that I was someone that was related to you, and that you were a professional soccer player. I was always so proud of that. Mm-hmm. He goes, but to be honest with you, I couldn't be more proud of you right now.
Nice.
And that honestly made me smile, because back in the day when anyone would look at you as an athlete, they weren't looking at you for the person you were, right. or what you're trying to do for MS. So it was, someone said, do I miss you? Or it was, yeah, I'm an athlete. That's why you're talking to me, friends, whatever it is. But now to have someone reach out and say, I'm actually proud of what you're doing for MS, and I'm proud of what you've become, makes me realize that I'm doing something that is right. And if I could spread awareness to 1 million people, if I could spread awareness to just one person about MS and how difficult it is to live with, and we have the support of everyone, that's the main thing. That is the main thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what a pleasure to have spoken to you finally. I'm sorry things screwed up a couple of weeks ago, but I'm glad we finally got you on the show. Julian, is there a place you'd like people to go check out Julian Uccello? Is there a foundation you are associated with, or some website you'd like us to go and check out further information?
So, as of Saturday, I'm going to be doing the Badwater marathon. I mean, the Badwater Marathon it's 370 kilometers of running, but I can't do that. So I'm going to be doing my own version of the Badwater, which I'm going to be walking 2 kilometers a day, which is very hard.
I bet.
For 17 days straight.
Jesus.
Wow. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm a lead ambassador for MS4MS, which all our funds that we do receive, we're a nonprofit organization. All funds we do receive go to the Johns Hopkins Hospital for the research department of MS. And I mean, the link, if they wanted to fundraise or they wanted to donate, is on my Instagram in my bio. Right. They could just follow Julian Uccello, and the link and everything is there.
Hey,
there's
Julian,
a story of me. There's anything that they want. Fantastic,
and we'll make sure people know that. Quickly though, has there been some MS, COVID? Are you more susceptible? Is it open you up to other diseases?
The new medication that I'm on now, it actually wipes your whole immune system to zero. So, which makes me very susceptible to any illness. So colds, fevers, COVID, or whatever it might be. So staying safe and actually being careful is a very, very important cause for me right now, because it is very dangerous to be out and about. But you gotta feed the daughter, right? So you gotta go to work.
Right. All right. Well, listen, man, thanks for taking some time.
Thanks, Julian.
Yeah, we appreciate it, Julian.
Thank you so much, guys.
Oh my, it's our pleasure, brother. You take care.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll get a chance to talk to you again. And be well. There you go. Be well. There you go.